All right, let's try and unpick that with a bit more of a level head than yesterday. Porto 3, Man United 3, as we know. Let's go through into a couple of points that I think I want to address after that. Now, we started well. We did start well. I think we absorbed pressure in the first 5 minutes, and again, it was good to see Ten Hag, I think, directing things from the touchline. We got a bit of a lucky goal, but it was well worked. I think Diogo Costa's let himself down at the near post. And then we silenced the crowd. I think a big thing when you go away to Porto is they have got a lot of fans. They are loud. This is going to be a big game for them. And we kind of tempered that and brought that down straight away. We went on and actually got a well worked second, which genuinely was well played out, knocked down, worked, and again, maybe sort of slightly lucky with the finish, but we did well to put that all together. You're 2-0 up and you're thinking, right, how long can this last? The answer is 7 minutes. I mean, that was all we had until we gave up a goal, and from there it always looked like we were going to concede again. I mean, they were building up on our left to the point where they ignored our right. There were several switches they could have hit that they didn't. They kept on building up on our left, and throughout that there was just no adjustment. I think between Ericsson, Casemiro, Rashford, Martinez, Dallo, there's got to be some communication to say, hey, I need more help, or I need you to be 10 yards deeper, or you need to shift across. And I think even the manager could help with that, to actually point that out, to shout to people, get them over there, force them to start playing some switches. At least the game is slowed down, and we've got a better chance of keeping them out. But there's just no communication. No one takes responsibility, no one says anything, and 14 minutes from being 2-0 up, it's 2-2. And it's just a severe weakness in organisation, mentality, reading the game, understanding the game. They're not difficult ideas to grasp. We all understand them, and at the professional level, especially, they all understand this. I find it very, very hard to watch and I guess endure. And the question is, how do we get past this mental fragility? How do we get over it? Is it a personnel issue? Because I feel like the personnel have been picked and chosen by the manager and have actually proven that they could be trusted. Is it a group dynamic? Does it need more time for it all to come together? Do they need to understand each other better? Although I doubt that that impacts the individual choices of each player. Is it something that has to be instilled by coaches? Do we need to give them more time to instill that? Just so many questions on that. But one thing's evident is we are so fragile. Our leads are never safe. And it's something that has to change. All right, now the centre backs. I'm going to start off by saying I think we have two excellent centre backs with experience for their relatively young age. They are proven at the top level, and I think they could go down as world class over time. That's how highly I rate these centre backs. But it is not working so far. I just can't see it. I mean, maybe Delict came in late. Martinez missed most of last season and went to the Copa. Are they physically not there? I mean, we're now 2 months, we're 6 weeks into the season. We've got to be physically ready. Does it take time to build an understanding? I think yes, but at the same time, the decisions are so poor. And if you want to build an understanding and have confidence in each other, I think it's so important that you get things right early on, you have some success early on, and then you build from there. Partnerships need success to grow, but you've got to give yourself a chance for that. Delict, so far to me, looks like he's trying too hard to impress. Same with Martinez, he's trying too hard to go and defend and to win balls and do things that I don't think he actually needs to do. Martinez has been off the pace all season. The first goal, you can see it. Their player just reacts much faster, gets there first, gets a tap in, and it doesn't need to be like that. When you see that happening, you can get in closer to your goal and clear that. I see Delict, getting caught under strikers. I see him, getting too tight to strikers. Step back a bit. Don't try and defend. Do the basics well. When you're defending, Let the game come to you. Defending is not an art of chasing some work to do. You've got to let the game come to you. I think that is really, really key, is that we don't want to see centre-backs trying to do things. Yes, it's impressive to cut a ball out and intercept it and run forward with it. But more time, what you really want to do is just be solid, be dependable, stick close together. Because when the centre-backs struggle, the fullbacks honestly don't have a chance. The fullbacks aren't making good decisions either. I'm looking at Mazraoui, not holding his line. Dalot at times sleeping, although he is being dragged into midfield a lot by instruction. It really isn't good. And I think it has to start with the centre-backs. They've got to build that understanding. They've got to build some dependability where we can trust them and the players around them can trust them. The midfield could probably protect them better as well. But again, communicate that. You can see that, tell them that, and then you've got a chance of getting somewhere. Late on, Maguire came on and saved us a point, but honestly, at one point he tried to play an offside that was just never on and just took himself out of the game. The most ridiculous piece of defending of the night, which is some achievement, but he did finally get his head on something. It was a great header. I can't say anything else, but a perfect header. Great way of managing his marker, keeping him out of the way, slammed it in and saved us a point. So I can't really criticise him too much. All that being said, is Johnny Evans, 37-year-old Johnny Evans, our most trustworthy centre-back, the one that I actually think will do what his ability promises? I think he might be. And that is a scary, scary thought. Okay, well, we were always going to talk about this. It is the one topic of conversation, the manager. The manager picked a midfield from 2 years ago, which is interesting because we've all seen the flaws that it has and how it didn't really hold up last season. And one thing that I'm quite keen on is, I'm maybe not the most sort of tactically minded person, but I'm quite into press conferences. I'm quite into the sort of mental cues and things that you get from them. And he mentioned a lot in the last few press conferences about having a young team and buying young players and having the job of guiding them and building them. And then he went with experience. But it was just so obvious where the gaps would be. When you've got this older midfield, Eriksen has no legs, Casemiro's not positionally aware. You're asking Bruno to be an attacking link, which means he leaves the other two on their own. Eriksen drifts because that's what he's good at. Casemiro, I call him Uncle Cass. I love him, but he's a right wally sometimes, and the whole thing it doesn't work. All the changes that he made from swapping out Mainu, Ugarte, you gain something and you sacrifice another, and there's no real overall net gain in the end. I question what contingencies in place. I know the manager can't account for every decision, but you can put things in place to minimise issues, evaluate how to get the maximum potential from what you've got. And it just seems like they're out there and they know, I'm good at this, so I'll try and do that. And then when it goes wrong, but you kind of knew that already. The reaction to the first goal, I think, is ridiculous. They've done one thing to get that goal. Come down our left-hand side, build up, midfielder comes over, get an overload, cross. You've got to realise that the manager and players alike, and the manager should be out there telling them, I want you over here on the left, I want you to tuck in, and I want you to make sure that this pattern of play stops, force them to do something else, frustrate them, keep them out. You have to conduct from the technical area. When the team is struggling, I think, be there and do everything you can. If they can't react to that, I put it more on the players, but I don't really see that happening. The second half, same thing, is ridiculous. We've gone 2-2. It's not the end of the world. There's clearly goals in the game. Let's try and be solid, but we concede again. It's just a joke. The subs are wild. I mean, the front line is completely being rejigged. And as a result, I think no one can actually find any form, because you play 70 minutes, you don't do well, you come out to be swapped for someone who plays 20 minutes and doesn't really do well. They start the next game, get their 60 minutes, and you get your 30 minutes, and it's just a revolving door of average performances that isn't really going anywhere. And I think that that is a problem where he keeps talking about rotation, but I think some players need 70, 80 minutes, and then, rotation doesn't have to happen every game, maybe every 2 or 3 games. You've got to keep some consistency so people can find some form. Now, Rashford is a key thing. When I talk about subs, that was a very strange sub. He was great going forward, but defensively, we know what he is. He's Marcus Rashford. Why are we expecting any different here? He doesn't support Delo as usual. He always does that. He gambles. He's looking for to be there on the break. But the midfield have got to take some responsibility as well. They know that. Eriksen, I love him, but at the same time, you are playing as an 8, so be in that position to cover things. I think that Rashford does have to recognise his flank is being attacked, but so does everyone else. Again, for the manager, do that from the touchline, especially it's on your side. Our left-hand side was right in front of him. You can get there, you can say something, you can make people aware of that. If it's on the other side, I kind of understand it. Maybe your voice doesn't carry over there and you need to pass an instruction on. But you can do that, and I think it really, really is important. And another worry with the Rashford substitution is he can't afford to fall out with players. This squad is smaller. We've got 4 wingers. One of them's Anthony. So we've got 3 wingers. It's really a struggle. I can't see any sense in him forcing any more issues with players because the depth isn't there. This team needs to be trusted. Okay, at times rotate, but within reason. I actually think he might be unhappy about rotating because there's one thing that we learned about Ten Hag in the first 2 years. He likes his 11, that's his 11. He's not swapping out that 11 at will, It seems almost like this is a new instruction and he's doing it, and he's almost, throwing a bit of a tantrum saying, well, look what's happening when I keep doing this rotation. That could be a problem soon, and it just feels like he is walking towards the exit door. This could very quickly become untenable, and I think the manager's not doing himself any favours with the way games are unfolding. When you look at the things he can control and him not really doing them, his comments in press conferences, his suggestions, I've got young players, I pick experienced players, and then that goes wrong. It all doesn't point towards a happy ending. I had to get it off my chest, but I'm hoping for a win on Sunday. I would like us to win, and I would like this manager to be here, because I assume if he is still here, it's because we're doing well. I hope there's a chance to move forward. I have a weird feeling we might beat Villa. Let's hope that's what happens on Sunday. It's been a warm down. Take it easy.